In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use the Readability Metrics plugin for the Butter text analysis software. What this plugin will do is calculate a bunch of standard readability scores like the Flesch-Kincaid metric, the Smog metric or simple measure of gobbledygook, and give us results for each of the texts that we're trying to analyze. Readability metrics are used in a lot of different social science domains, including things like language comprehension research, education research, even things like political science. Now we can see that this plugin takes strings as input, which is pretty different from some of the other plugins underneath this category, but that's okay. This is fairly straightforward. Now I'll say for the most part, a lot of these types of metrics work really best with the English language. They're designed for the English language to look at things like syllables and so on. Now, that said, you can still use them on other languages beyond English. Just know that your interpretation of the metrics may be skewed a little bit, and you'd want to look into which of these different metrics apply to specific languages versus metrics that are language agnostic, essentially. Now for this example, we're going to just look at some English language TED Talks here. I have transcripts I've collected over the years. Pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we'll do is tell Butter where our text files are. And most of our input plugins will give strings as their output, so we can just connect the readability scores directly to our input plugin. And then we can save our output. And you can see that there are no settings for the readability plugin. So this is fairly self-contained, fairly straightforward. We just take our texts, read them in, give them to the readability metrics plugin, and then connect that to an output node. And I'll just name our output file Readability. And we'll go ahead and let this run for a few seconds here and calculate our scores for a few texts, and then we'll go ahead and cancel it just so we can open up the file and see what our output looks like here. And you can see we get some standard metrics here that just describe the text itself, so things like the number of letters in each text, word count, average syllables per word. These are the types of numbers here that are going to vary a lot based on the language that you're analyzing, and I think most of them are tailored towards the English language. Other things like the number of letters or the number of sentences, these are pretty much invariant across languages, so long as it's not a continuous script language, like Javanese or Arabic or so on. And for the most part, these are fairly straightforward metrics that you would see in any research that uses readability scores of some type or another. Flesch-Kincaid reading ease scores, grade level scores, gunning fog index, and so on. And we have those scores associated with each text. And that's it. That's how we use the Readability Metrics plugin for Butter.